What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are diving into the Detroit Lions, maybe like a mini preview for their game this Sunday against the Packers, and also their offensive game plan / strategy, what they're going to have to do to beat this Packers team. All right, now before we get into any of that, I do want to let you guys know that this question is up there, but it's actually from a different video. I forgot to erase that. I did a different video before this one, but you guys are going to see this video first. So that question's still there. You can answer it, but it's not for this video, it's for another video. So in a later video, I'll actually, ask you guys a question, but I'll just leave it up. It's already up there. So for the video, it's up there. So I can't really do anything about it, but enjoy the video and I'll see you later for the injury report. And then also the other video for that question, and I'll put it later. Let's get it started. Wait, is that how? Yeah, let's get it started.
I got to shout out DoseOfDion, man, because it was actually the first time I went live on YouTube. And, guys don't know, DoseOfDion, he put out a lot of good content for the Detroit Lions.
Welcome everybody to another video. Glad you guys are here. And today we're talking about the Detroit Lions offense. We talked about the defense in that kind of big show that we did. We talked about the defense in that video. Today we're talking about the Lions offense. And Lions offense is a very important task to put up a pretty good amount of points because we're facing a Packers offense who is, well, let's just say very good, the best scoring offense in the league. Plus our defense has been the second worst in terms of points allowed. So you put those two together, that's not a good recipe. Okay, that's a recipe for disaster, actually. So the Lions offense needs to be a big part of this game, and there's certain things that they need to make sure they do. There are certain ways that they can attack this defense that I've taken away from our first time playing them, and also what I've seen from the Packers recently. Maybe some changes, things like that. So let's dive right into this. Before we get into maybe, specifics on the field, I quickly want to run through the numbers here. Okay, so this is the Packers defense. Against the pass, they're about average, except for passer rating allowed, which is 95.9. They allow a pretty high passer rating, that's 22nd in the league, but they do have 31 sacks, which is 11th. That's pretty darn good. 224 yards per game allowed, which is 11th. A 64.6% completion percentage, that is 13th, and 21 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. Some solid stats against the pass. I would say they're average to above average against the pass. Against the run, I would say they're below average. They're allowing 4.6 yards per carry, which is 27th in the league. However, they're only giving up 114.6 yards per game on the ground, which is 14th in the league. Why in the world are they giving up so many yards per carry, but they're in the top half of the league in yards per game? Well, here's why. Only 297 attempts against them, which is the 8th least in the league. Okay, so not a ton of rushing attempts against them. And we'll talk about why that is in a second. And they've only forced 13 turnovers, which is pretty low. I think the Lions have forced about 12. In terms of what they do schematically, they blitz about 25% of the time, I guess you could say. They're giving up about 25 points a game. They're 11th in the league in third down percentage and 25th in the league in red zone percentage. So that's a little bit of a weak spot. Now, the run defense, the reason you look at that, you say, okay, well, the run defense isn't great, but it also isn't bad because they're not giving up a lot of yards, a lot of attempts, is because they're usually leading. See, when you're winning, your opponent is not going to be running the ball a lot. In the third and fourth quarter, they're not running the football when they're down by multiple touchdowns. They're passing the football. So while they're not a very good run defense, always have to play run defense because the games can get out of hand. If you're down by multiple scores, which is exactly what happened to us last time we played Green Bay, that kind of makes you one-dimensional, makes an offense one-dimensional, force them to be a passing team because they need to hurry and get back into the game. And the Packers simply, they don't blow leads. I mean, that is what they are built to do. They are built to play with the lead. Their defense is built to play with the lead. Penn, their defensive coordinator, has built this team to play with a lead, and that's where they're at their best. They don't give up leads. I mean, you look at their games so far this year, they haven't lost games because they've given up leads at the end. The only game that you can say they've done that is the Indianapolis Colts game, and the reason being is because the Indianapolis Colts forced a turnover. That's it. In overtime, they forced turnovers. But really, this team doesn't give up many leads. They really play against the pass. They start to get a little bit of aggression when the pass rush starts to get there, but they have some really fast linebackers, some speedy pass rushers, and they just love to get after the quarterback. Last week against Philadelphia, I think they had 7 total sacks. I mean, they went off on Philadelphia. Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts, they both just went off on them, and that's how their defense is built. Their defense is built to play with the lead. They're built to play ahead. They're built to play for the pass. Against the run, not as much. Now, last time we played, if you guys remember, there was no Kenny Clark. So without Kenny Clark, the Lions had a little bit more opportunity to run the football on the inside. Well, Kenny Clark, that big man, he is back. Got guys like Dean Lowry who are playing well. So how do the Lions attack this defense? Where are the Lions going to find success against this defense? Well, the first thing I want to do is go back and look at our first game against the Packers and what just happened, okay? Because it was a while ago. It was the second game of the season. I wanted to see how that game went because I think that's a great way to do it. We've already played them once, so why not? Well, in that game, the Lions averaged 4.2 yards per carry, which honestly isn't great. 4.2 yards per carry. It's not great when you think that they're allowing 4.6 yards per carry in the season. But that's about what the Lions are averaging. They are just not a great rushing team. And in this game, Adrian Peterson was their number one running back, not a guy. Well, actually, Kerryon Johnson came out and played first, but it wasn't DeAndre Swift at the time. They had Swift, they just didn't use him as their number one. However, I think with Swift, who could be playing this weekend, and Darrell Bevell said he is trending in the right direction, he will be the number one running back, in my opinion, heading into this game. Now, how limited will he be? That is the question. I don't think he'll be super limited. If he practices every day, which we'll get the injury report a little bit later, I don't think he'll be extremely limited. And I think he'll be our number one running back, which will be very helpful. Now, when it comes to rushing the football, I think you have to run the ball to the left. I know it sounds weird. Running the ball to the right, you have to keep it mixed in, but you find a lot of success rushing the football against the Packers on the left side of that offensive line. Reason being, for the Lions side of things, that's where they're healthy. They're healthy on the left side. Jonah Jackson, Frank Ragnow, who's the center. You have Taylor Decker, you paid a lot of big money to. Your left side, to me, is where you're finding your most success rushing the football, especially against the Packers. Going back and watching the game, it seemed like the Lions were able to hit on some big plays running to the left. Now, that's specifically more between the tackles. When it talks about getting to the outside, running to the right is fine. You got to get things open to the outside, and this is a perfect example I'm going to show you on the screen right here. They do a little handoff to the right. It's Adrian Peterson. He picks up 25 yards. They do a great job with TJ Hockenson. The linebacker follows out of the way. Then you get
quickly. Another thing that this shows is the Lions attacking their man defense. We're about to talk about their coverage in a second, but it's man coverage, so he follows TJ Hockenson across. So these movements with your tight ends can really open up the run game because of the man coverage.
To block to the inside, and you get Peterson to the outside. So that's Peterson. He's not even that fast. You're able to set that up. Pass rushers are trying to get to the quarterback. So rushing the ball is super important to attack that. You don't want to be one-dimensional against this team. That is for sure. Now, how do you attack when it comes to passing the football? Well, I think the first guy you got to keep an eye out for is Danny Amendola. I think Amendola is going to be super important. We're probably not going to have Kenny Galladay again, so Danny Amendola is the guy to watch for. And in our last game, he was important. Whether that was catching the ball or dropping the football against the Packers, he was super important because Danny Amendola is that guy that's tough to match up with because you're worried about the other guys. You're worried about Marvin Jones, Hockenson, now Mohamed Sanu, Quintez Cephas, these outside guys. Then you have Danny Amendola who hops into the slot, who's on a safety, who's on a linebacker. Amendola is just a tough matchup. And he's that guy that will pick up those big first downs on third downs. Danny Amendola is just a little guy that's forgotten around, but he does big things. He has some good man-to-man cornerbacks, and they're pretty healthy in the cornerback position. I mean, Kevin King doing some stuff, but they're pretty healthy. You got like Jair Alexander, who's one of the better cornerbacks in this league. At the safety position, they have some good ones. Adrian Amos, Darnell Savage. But they're pretty good when it comes to man-to-man coverage, except that's where I see Danny Amendola can exploit because I think, it's just a tough matchup there. So when they do go to man-to-man, Amendola's the guy to look for. But they're pretty good. Downfield, no Kenny Galladay. You don't have tons of man-to-man beaters necessarily in terms of player versus player. So I don't think the Lions are going to have a huge advantage there. They have a good man defense. Now, when they drop in the zone, we saw last week that Matthew Stafford just picked apart that Bears zone. I mean, he just picked it apart. When they went to zone, Matthew Stafford was just money over and over and over and over. So I'm expecting the Packers to play a pretty good amount of man-to-man defense in this game, which means you have to look for those guys with the advantages. Marvin Jones, I think, is going to be tough to hit because I think Marvin's going to be matched up a lot of times with a guy like Jair Alexander, and they're really going to focus on trying to take him away. So it's going to be about the guys, your TJ Hockenson, one of our best weapons. Your TJ Hockensons and your Danny Amendolas, those are the two good weapons that you have to look for offensively. The thing to look out for with Lions offense is for Matthew Stafford to use his leg to get out of the pocket, to scramble. When this team does play man-to-man defense, which I'm expecting them to play a pretty good amount of, you're going to get opportunities for Matthew Stafford to take off. They like to bring 4 rushers, things like that, just get their pass rushers at it. They don't blitz a ton. It's low. It's below league average at 25%. But they like to bring, their 4 pass rushers. Well, if you're playing man-to-man to back end and the Lions give you a lot of weapons, they throw at you, they throw at you 5 weapons, then you're not going to have a lot of guys keeping an eye on the quarterback. And you're not usually worried about that because, it's Matthew Stafford. But that's what the Lions use to their advantage, is what Stafford can use to his advantage. Take off, pick up some yards with his legs. We saw it. He picked up some big third downs against the Packers. I expect him to step in the pocket, take off a few times, run a little bit, use his legs, something that the defense will have to end up respecting because I think Stafford's going to have a couple of scrambles that go for some solid gains, and he's going to have opportunities to do that. You got your pass rushers who are just trying to get after the quarterback. They're just trying to get home. But then you have the man-to-man in the back end. It allows for holes to open up. The offensive line can create some holes. Stafford will be able to take off because that's not the guy you're usually expecting to take off. And in zone defense, Stafford was picking apart the zone last week, and I think he can do that again. Now, it seemed like the Lions' strategy in this game was to take some quick hitters early. It seemed like the Lions were just hitting quick hits, boom, boom, boom. It was like 1-2, drop, throw. That's how it was against the Packers. I think they were really trying to slow down that pass rush. But Like I said, they are built to play with the lead. You can't fall behind a big lead here. You can't fall behind by multiple scores. No matter what time of the game, you can't do it. And if you do, you can't become one-dimensional. If you fall behind multiple scores and it's early, you have to make sure you at least still mix in the run to keep it respected. Be in trouble. I mean, it's just that simple. You're going to be in trouble. It's going to turn into what happened last time we played them. Sack after sack after sack, turnovers. It was like, what's going on here? We just fell apart. It's because we became a one-dimensional team. Perfect example is Matthew Stafford's interception. We're down by 10. It's 24-14. And this defense, the back end, the secondary, they started to play aggressive. They're starting to jump a little bit. You saw the drive before. They're jumping on stuff. They're jumping on third down routes. They're being super aggressive. They're not necessarily respecting the deep shot there because they know their pass rushers are going to get there in time, and Matthew Stafford's not going to have enough time to take those shots. So you're getting these guys that are aggressive. You got a guy like Matthew Stafford who runs a play action inside of his own end zone. Pressure right in his face. He just throws it out there expecting his read to be there, and they jump it and they get the pick six, which basically puts the game away. Turnovers you have to avoid. But how do you get to that situation? Well, you don't want to fall behind by multiple scores, that's for sure. You also need to make sure that you're keeping the run game involved as long as possible. You don't want to become one-dimensional. And with those quick throws, you have to make in a few deep shots to back this defense up. Just a few. If that's going max protect to make sure Stafford doesn't hit, fine. Mix in a few. Even if they're not completed, you just have to make sure that this defense doesn't get jumpy and antsy and they're starting to jump on these routes. Because I think the Lions' game plan will be to take some underneath quick hitters because they want to make sure they keep the pass rush off them. If the offensive line proves they can hold up, then they won't have to worry about that as much. You have to make sure you mix in a few deep ones just to make sure they're not being jumpy, being anticipated to jump on these underneath routes and getting interceptions, because that obviously will kill a game when you're playing a team that's scoring 30 plus a game and your defense is not stopping teams. I mean, you got to rely on your offense. Your offense mindset has to be, we're going to score 30 plus in this game, because if you don't score 30 plus, you're probably going to lose this football game. Your mindset has to be, okay, we got to score 31 or more if we're going to have a chance. That has to be the offensive mindset in this game. Okay, now I know there's 2 ways to play him. You can either try to slow him down and play your game, which is, hey, slow the game down, take the ball out of his hands. I think that's fair. I just really don't think there's any way you're going to slow down this Packers offense. I don't see you're going to slow down this Packers offense. If you do, great. I mean, I'll be shocked. I just don't see it happening. I just don't think you can match up well enough with this Packers offense. So, in terms of how do you want to attack them, you can attack them with the run game. Definitely. I think running to left for sure. Swift, get those guys involved. Run the football. You have to keep that going. But I don't necessarily think you have to be a team that's like, okay, we're going to control the clock, try to have 8-minute drives. If you can, great. I just don't see it happening. You got to play to what your strengths are. Your strength is passing the football. It's not rushing the ball. You have guys that can do it. So look there. If Swift is here, look to run the ball, keep it mixed in, keep them guessing. You have to do it for sure. But make sure you also play to your strength, which is Matthew Stafford. That is your strength as a team right now, is passing the football. So you have to play through that. But I think you got to look out for the Hawkinsons. You got to look out for the Amendollas. 2 things we can't have. 1, turnovers, which again comes from being one-dimensional, getting down early. And the reason that also happens is because of flags. We had so many timely flags against him last time that it put the game out of control. We were up 14-10 in the first half. Right? All of a sudden, things go completely downhill. Why? Well, Matthew Stafford has it. He gets sacked, but then the next play, which is what the real killer was, people don't realize this, the next play was the real killer, was not the sack. It was that you had a holding call on third down. They decline that. It stops the clock. It's a free timeout. They get the ball let back. And right before half, they go down and score a touchdown. Now you're trailing going into half. You have no time to score before half. They get the ball back and they break a run. You're down by 10. Now you're in trouble. You're down by 10. You come out. You're trying these quick hitters. The secondary's all over it. They're jumping on things. You punt it back. Then guess what? You get the ball back inside your own 2. They pin you back. And again, you're trying to get the ball off quickly because out of your end zone. They jump it. They get the pick six and the game is over. Keep those secondary players, respect the deep shot. You have to keep the run game going. This has to be a balanced attack. This can't be okay, here's what we're doing, and we're completely one-dimensional in this game. If you become a team that's just simply passing the ball, you're going to be tough because you don't have a guy like Golladay to help you push the ball down the field. You're going to be looking at a lot of quick routes, and you got pass rushers that are just going to get after you. It's plain and simple. They're going to get after it. If they don't, your offense is going to be completely open. If the offensive line can just dominate, you're going to be fine. I mean, you won't have really many worries, but I don't expect that to happen. So you got to keep the run game involved. That's the weakest spot of this Packers defense. If there's any weakness on his team, it's stopping the run. So you have to make sure, okay, well, we're going to try it. We're going to mix it in. But I think you also have to open up the run. We've talked about all year. Open up the run through the pass. You can't come out saying we're going to run the ball 3 straight times. It doesn't work. And you can see last time we played them, our first couple of scoring drives, we opened up the run through the pass. You get a couple of play actions. Maybe you push them with some shots. Maybe you hit on some quick throws. And use those same formations and hit them with the run after that. Break 4 or 5 yards. 4 or 5 yard runs. You'll take that all day. You'll take that all day against any team. And that's what the Lions need to do. Open up the pass. Open up the run through the pass early. I'm expecting them to do some quick shots to try to hold the pass rush off. We'll see how that goes. We'll see the matchup there. We'll just have to wait and see how the game plays out. but don't fall one-dimensional. You can't have mistakes like penalties that kill drives, a 3rd and 25 because you had a penalty at midfield at 15 yards. You can't have those. All right, penalties are going to happen, but you can't have those drive killers. And then obviously turnovers come through, all of that just kind of working against you. The game got out of hand last time. The Lions can't compete. The Lions can't put up big points. They're at home. You're expecting this to be a shootout. I don't know exactly what Daryl Bevell's game plan is. I think, he's going to try to establish a run. I just don't necessarily think he's going to look at this and say, okay, we need to hold the ball for 8 minutes. That was Patricia's mindset. It didn't work. You're not going to stop this Packers offense really anyways. Hopefully you can get a couple turnovers. We talk about the defense side. That's kind of your hope. Maybe we can get a couple extra possessions. But realistically, you're not going to get a lot of stops. So you got to come with the mindset. We got to score 30 plus. Defensively, you have to be aggressive. You have to get after them. You have to realize that they're going to score no matter how you play defensively. So you have to get after them, attack, be aggressive. Make sure that if they're scoring, they're short, quick drives. That way your offense gets more opportunities. But you have to be after it. You have to be aggressive in the back end. You have to be bringing blitzes. Try to get Aaron Rodgers as uncomfortable as possible. The only time we saw defense have success against Rodgers this year really was Tampa Bay when he was extremely uncomfortable. That's really your best bet. Try to get him uncomfortable. You're going to give up points. Put in your offense hand. Give your offense more opportunities. And don't have those dumb mistakes. Mistakes are going to kill you against great teams, and we can't have those. We are the underdogs big time for a reason. Let me know your thoughts, comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'm out. Are you kidding me right now? I had to put my helmet on for this one. Are you kidding? Look at this. Look at all these members. What? Yo, hey, shout out to all the members, man. Look how many all-pro members there are. Like, literally, it's the whole screen, dog. This is crazy. The patrons, of course, the Hall of Fame members, man. Y'all got the gold color. It's kind of yellow, but it's supposed to be gold. Shout out to all the members, man. If you want to be a part of this, all you got to do is join the channel. But there are perks that come with it. Stay locked in the community tab if you are a member, because that's where a lot of information comes out. I appreciate all of you. What?